Welcome back to A Student of Beauty. Today is a very special day. We have Miss Shale Albao from
Yes.
Tadhana. And if you don't know about Tadhana, it is the first Philippine-based using raw materials
I,
perfumery
I,
brand?
I won't say it's the first Philippine-based fragrance brand, but I would say that we are one of the primary brands that really push out Philippine perfumery out in the global industry.
I love that. And when it comes to like raw materials and the sourcing, you really source locally here, right?
Yes, we do. So our fragrances are a mix of Philippine ingredients, which we source locally and mix them with top quality fragrances, fragrance oils from all over the world. And what we really wanted to highlight are how beautiful and rich Philippine raw materials are because they're not common at all in the global market.
Yeah.
And we want to introduce stories of the Philippines through our raw materials.
I love that. I love that. Before we get too deep into raw materials and sourcing and
Yeah.
pulling fragrances from around the world, I would love for you to share about a little bit about just what Tadhana means,
Yeah.
because I think it'll tee us up to just talk about how we even met. So what does Tadhana actually mean?
So, for those who do not know, Tadhana is a Filipino word and it means destiny or fate. So, for us, how we relate this to scents is, you know how what the feeling is whenever you spray a perfume for the first time and it gives you the feeling of unexpected surprise.
Yes.
So that is what we want to create out of this fragrance. So fate, destiny being the unexpected surprise that's happening. Sometimes when we go about our lives, we don't really know what's happening in the next turn, but we get pleasantly surprised. And this is the experience that we want to bring in through our fragrances.
I love it. I love that because that's essentially how we met.
Yes?
Yeah, it was like a series of events. We were currently filming we were filming our Philippines documentary, and we got basically invited to attend Grasse's first inaugural perfume week, and it was a last minute decision to attend, and walking the floor and seeing all these perfumers from all around the world and getting to the third floor and finally walking like the more like intimate booths, and it was just like everybody from Greece and Sicily and India and Africa and Poland, and I think a lot of perfumers also from China, but then based in the UK, like very, very international flora. And then I found you, and I was like, wait, Filipino perfume? Like, what do you mean? And I was like, Calamansi? What? I was just like, coconut water based what? And so I was just so floored by your booth and just seeing familiarity and also seeing only one Filipino, like, or Philippine-based perfume brand there. I felt like it meant so much and spoke so much volume to what's happening here in the Philippines that it's just, I don't know, I'm talking a lot, but it's just an absolute honor to have you.
Thank you. And I'm so glad that you found us on that floor. And your reaction is actually the reaction that most people have whenever they see, oh, Calamansi, what is that? Tell us about that. And we're very happy sharing with them stories of like how Calamansi is a very staple ingredient in a Filipino kitchen, for example. So yeah, it's that surprise that kept us excited and going whenever we introduce our fragrances.
I love it. And I think one of the most interesting things that you told me when we initially met and we just like kind of sat to the side and we're just having a chat. I had the honor of sitting down with you and interviewing you for Mega Magazine's beauty issue, and not expecting to find a Filipina, perfumer on the floor. Your story really initially took over the article and took center stage, and I was so thrilled to be able to write about your story. But I would love for you to share What does it mean to be a Filipina perfumer, and how many Philippine-based classically trained perfumers are there here?
So answer your second question first. So there are only, as far as I know, 4 classically trained Filipino perfumers. But that number is growing, fortunately, because of the awareness that's been happening. People are more interested, so that's great. Now, your earlier question, what does it mean to be a Filipina in this stage in perfumery? So during that event, Grasse Perfume Week, there was this one really accomplished perfumer. I don't know if I've shared this story with you. I'm not so sure. So there's this guy, really accomplished perfumer. He came up to me. He said, "I've smelled all of your perfumes and I love them. I love the branding. I love the smell. I love how it looks like. I love the stories. But there's one problem. It's made in the Philippines."
You did tell me this.
I did tell you this.
You told me this, and I
Yes.
think it had just happened when you told me this.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
Like I think you were still processing.
Yeah.
What he said to you. Yeah. So.
So when he said that, in a way, he's not putting shade to Philippines, just to be clear. So no shade to Philippines, but it was more of everyone, even US, wanted to be made in Grasse, because Grasse is the perfume capital of the world. So all of the other brands, they want their headquarters to be in Grasse. But for us, we decided to have our headquarters in the Philippines. And to me, that comment gave me, in a way, validation of the work that we're doing. One, when he said that the only problem is it's made in the Philippines, what he means by that is everyone else wants to be made in Grasse, but we did not choose to. One is that is what made us unique. Out of all of the fragrances there that are made in Europe, we are the only Filipino brand. And every time someone smells it, they would always say, "Oh, it smells very different from European perfumery. What are these notes that I'm experiencing?" So it gave us the unique identity. So that's good. And the second, when he said made in the Philippines, for me, that is an absolute opportunity for us to put our name out there that, hey, there are really talented perfumers in the country. We have amazing ingredients that no one probably has heard of before. And we have a lot of stories to tell too.
1000%. Let's talk a little bit about your road to perfumery, and kind of jumping ahead of the story a little bit, specifically talking about your time in France. Being trained in France, what made you choose to say, I'm going to do it in the Philippines?
The first idea was actually, we probably should go that route, that we have our headquarters in France. There was that idea, or even have headquarters in the US. But when I went back to what the purpose is, or what initially sparked the idea that, hey, I wanted to create a fragrance brand, that idea came from my experience doing perfume school and looking at all of the perfumes out there and realizing that there is no representation for Philippine perfumery in the global market. So that was the spark. And I had to honor that spark. And to honor that, we had to be true to our identity and bring it home and build it from home and then share it with the rest of the world.
I love that. So let's talk about the origin story of how you essentially became a classically trained perfumer. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, how did you get into perfumery?
Growing up, I've always been interested in both science and art. So when I was 6 years old, my favorite books were science books. But at the same time, I would write poetry, I would do films, I would sing, I would dance. So I would honestly say that I'm both artistic but also scientific minded. And over the course of time, I've always had fragrance as part of my signature scent. Like growing up, high school, I have a signature scent. When I was working, I have a signature scent. When I started doing business, there was also a signature scent. Every life stage, I marked with a signature scent. So to me, perfumery is merging of all my worlds. It's merging of the art, the artistic side of me, because doing perfumery is a very artistic process. At the same time, it's also scientific because it's chemistry, it's raw materials, it's ingredients, it's molecules, and it's business at the same time. So all of my worlds come together, and I truly felt when I started doing this brand, I truly felt that I found my Ikigai, my purpose. And it just made me so excited, and this is something that I would like to continue doing moving forward.
I love it. Was there a aha moment? Like what was the moment? What were the conversations, leading up to you making that decision to say, I'm going to go back to school to be classically trained?
Yeah. That idea was actually quite wild when it got introduced to me. So my mom and my partner, they both mentioned to me, because they know of my interest in perfumery, they both mentioned, like, why don't you study perfumery? Because you have a chemical background after all. And in my mind, like, I'm not young enough to start something new again. At that time, I was quite comfortable with the business that I have. It was a chemical distribution company. But the idea was there. The idea of, why don't I study again? And even if in the beginning it was a wild idea, I took a chance. I searched in Google, like, best perfumery school in the world. I found ISIPCA and enrolled in their summer course. And that was when it felt right. Being there, just some science and ideas along the way, like my mom and my partner saying these things, like, why don't I try it out? And when I was there, it really felt like home. The laboratory felt like home. Doing this creative process, creating perfumery from an idea and translating the idea to fragrance was a beautiful experience that I wanted to keep having.
I love that so much. I keep saying I love it because your story, when I first met you and we just sat off to the side and you just started telling me, like, the name of your brand and just how everything came about really was like serendipitous and like almost destined, like you were made for it. And so to anyone listening that might be afraid to start over or might be on that jump off point, but they don't have the support like your mom or your husband, like what would you say to them? Because if you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you made that decision?
So I think I was 38 at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm 40 now.
Amazing. I started over, if you will.
Yeah.
So at 32. So I had a career shift at 32, and so I feel like I'm 3 years in now. But what was that like to finally find that grounding and that confidence to say, okay, I'm going to go back to school. I'm moving to France. We're going to do this. And when you made that decision, did you tell anyone that you were going to do it?
I did tell some friends, yes. But what that feeling of, okay, I'm going to do this, I think it was, someone told me this quite recently actually, that when you have this desire, it means it must be there for a reason. Like a desire to do something, a desire to start something. It must be there for a reason. And it's up to us to honor that desire. And I think it's simply what I did. Like I just simply said yes to the desire, like, hey, let's start this. It's scary. It's definitely scary because starting again, especially not so early in the journey, starting again is it means having to do so many things from scratch, long hours, like all these lifestyle changes that need to happen. But if the desire is strong, it will make sense.
So when you went to France, was that the first time you spent time there, or had you been before?
I was there before, but for vacation. That was the first time that I, quote unquote, like lived there for a time.
Got it. How was that, like going from the Philippines to spending an extended amount of time? I mean, 2 months is a decent amount of time. We just did that, and it's enough to really feel like you're immersed, but not enough to feel like you're actually grounded there. What was that like for you?
I was just sharing with Angela earlier that every after class, I would walk from the school. So the school is in Versailles, so beautiful area. So I would walk from school to my apartment and just really enjoy the space, really enjoy the place, like the sights, the sounds, a new environment. I really enjoyed that. At the same time, it was also quite challenging because I still had to do my business at that point. So my free hours also meant I had to work. But what was amazing was to be with a group of people that share the same interests. We were 26 in our class. We all, obviously, we all love perfumes. That's why we went to that class.
Yeah.
But imagine just being with a group of people that share the same interest. We talk about perfumes almost the whole day. We were smelling things the whole day. And even on weekends, when it's supposed to be, our free time, for some reason, we keep running into each other in Paris in perfume stores because clearly we're just so obsessed. So it was such a meaningful part of my life. It was a very, very enjoyable experience, and up to this day, the 26 people that are in my class, we were still very close. We talk whenever one of us would have an achievement. We would just cheer for each other. So it wasn't just the learning alone that was meaningful, but it was also the relationship that I had along the way with 26 other people of 20 different nationalities.
Oh my gosh, amazing. For that experience being around everybody who from all around the world traveled to France, did you see contrast or compliment in the way that some students coming from, let's say North America or Asia or, the Middle East, I don't know where everybody came from, but when everybody was there, did you see more contrast or compliment to, I want to innovate, or what was your experience like?
I was amazed by the creativity of everyone that was around me. So we each had to create our own project, mini projects, and like someone from Korea, she wanted to create this brand around, like she had a very specific design in mind. So in a way, we're all very different. We have very different tastes, but at the same time, the commonality would be we all wanted to innovate. We all wanted to do something different. And the good thing about perfumery is it's such a wide space and it's such a creative space that there's room for that creativity for a lot of people.
I love that. When going through the course, did you feel a sense of almost like liberation, returning back to being a student after having a career, having already completed your education, having a business, being a businesswoman, and then humbling yourself to learn something new? Did that create more freeness for you, or did that feel like you were kind of going backwards in any way? Like, what was that experience like?
It never felt backwards. It actually sparked a certain fire that I did not realize was there before, because I've always loved what I've been doing. I was never bored through my life. I've enjoyed a lot of different interests, but when I did that, there was a fire that was ignited that, hey, I really want to do this. I really want to be successful in this. I really want to be good at this. And I don't think I've felt that strongly about something for a very long time.
So I think I want to position these questions like kind of pouring into anyone who's quite frankly on the fence, right? And I would love for you to share also that spark, because you went back and humbled yourself to start something new, right? You're learning again. You're not doing you were still running a business, but for a moment it's your main commitment was a being and creating. And so again, for anybody who's on the fence, they might think that they're too old or they've, built too far of a business to like start again. What would you say was the most significant or the most aha moment in your student process that helped you just like keep going? Yeah.
It was realizing my purpose. And that purpose was to be able to represent Philippines in perfumery. And I think because of that, it was the strong pull that really allowed me to go after it. Because I think we can all have a lot of dreams, right? But without, I think for people who might be on the fence, it would be find that anchor. Find that anchor that would really ground you and pull you towards that something that you want to happen.
Yeah.
And it won't be easy. It will definitely be difficult challenges, a lot of sleepless nights, but as long as you keep remembering that anchor, that the why you're doing this, it will help guide you along the way.
Was there any in the process of you, going through your training, was there any moment that you were like, ugh, like, did I make the right decision? Or even afterwards, like building the business of Tadhana, like, was there any moment that you're just like, is this, like, did you ever second guess yourself?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like every step of the way, I think I would always start off with a lot of confidence. Okay, this is going to work. And then the moment I make that step, is this the right thing to do? So I think it's really part of the process. I think it's normal too.
What was like the first challenge, if you don't mind sharing, like what was the challenge that you had to overcome, and like once you initially got over that, it was like you're just relieved that you broke through? Or was there any breakthroughs that were significant in the process?
The very first one would be our first go-to-market, because for 1 full year I was creating the first 2 scents, like Classy and Lover. And I guess as a creative person or as an artist, it's very difficult to say when something is ready to be shown to the world. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yeah.
And for me to be able to say, okay, these 2 scents are ready and I'm okay to put them out there. That was the first breakthrough to actually, because in a way it's a lot of vulnerability, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of creativity put into that, and it's also putting out there for criticism.
Yeah.
And in a way it's an act of vulnerability that, hey, this is a part of me, and some people will like it, some people may not, but it's the courage to put it out there, I think, was the first breakthrough.